Hi there, welcome to this Elkchemist chemistry video looking at the equilibrium constant, or Kc. So the equilibrium constant is a mathematical expression which utilizes information such as concentrations of reactants and products, but also reacting moles from the balanced equation to help give us a quantitative value which indicates whether the position of equilibrium is lying towards the reactants or products for a particular chemical reaction. But not only that, but also to what extent this is the case. That's really useful information because it helps us to understand how heavily a reaction favours the production of reactants or products. And usually, from an industrial point of view, the production of product is what we're really interested in. So if we can produce a reaction that has a high Kc value and its position of equilibrium is heavily favouring the production of product, that would probably be an advantageous reaction to follow through with. Okay, so I'm going to take you through the fundamentals of how to write a generic Kc expression. So Kc is calculated by putting products over reactants. So the products are the numerator in the expression and the reactants are the denominator. So they go above and below the division line. But what exactly goes above and below the division line? What do we actually put into the expression? Well, look at this generic algebraic reversible reaction shown here. This is a certain number of moles of reactant A reacting with a certain number of moles of reactant B to form a certain number of moles of product C and a certain number of moles of product D. So what we do is we place the concentration of product C raised to the power of that coefficient in front for the number of moles reacting in the balanced equation, multiplied by the concentration of D raised to the power of its number of moles from the balanced equation, divided by the concentration of A, again raised to the power of number of moles, the coefficient in the balanced equation, and the concentration of B raised to the coefficient number of moles reacting of B in the balanced equation. The square brackets denote concentration in the expression itself. And that's it, guys, really. So all the examples I'm going to take you through shortly will be for homogeneous systems where all the reactants and products will be in the same state. There are some interesting things that happen when we talk about heterogeneous systems, but I'll cover that in a different video. These are going to be really simple, basic, homogeneous Kc expression construction examples. I'll take you through them one by one, and let's get started. So for each of these worked examples, feel free to pause the video, have a go at yourself, pen and paper at the ready, and check against the answer I give to see if you got it right. That'd be really useful for you and a great way of keeping up with the learning in the video. So our first worked example is the decomposition of sulfur trioxide to form sulfur dioxide and oxygen. So what Kc expression would you write for this reversible reaction? Hopefully you wrote something a bit like this. We've got the SO2 raised to the power of 2 because there's a coefficient 2 for the product in the balanced equation, multiplied by the concentration of the oxygen, divided by the concentration of the SO3, also raised to the power of 2 because there's a coefficient 2 in the balanced equation for the reactant. This would be the Kc expression for this reversible reaction. On to example number 2. Take a few seconds to think about how you'd write the Kc expression for this reversible reaction. And again, hopefully, fingers crossed, you've written an expression that looks a bit like this. We've got the concentration of hydrogen iodide product raised to the power of 2 because there's a coefficient 2 in the balanced equation, divided by the concentration of hydrogen, multiplied by the concentration of iodine. There's no coefficient in front of those, so they're both just 1. And that's our second worked example. Okay, on to worked example number 3. How do you write a Kc expression for this reversible reaction? By this point, I bet you're becoming absolute experts at this. So we've taken our PCl5 product concentration of and divided it by the PCl3 concentration multiplied by the chlorine concentration, and that's the Kc expression for this reaction. And one more for the road, our final worked example here, we've got the Haber process. How would you write a Kc expression to represent the Haber process? And if you're working along at home, I'm sure you've managed to get this one right as well. We have the concentration of ammonia raised to the power of 2 because there's a balancing coefficient 2 in the stoichiometric or balanced equation itself for the product, divided by the concentration of nitrogen, multiplied by the concentration of hydrogen raised to the power of 3 because again, there's a coefficient 3 in front of the hydrogen in the balanced equation for that reactant. Wow, excellent. Just before I take you through how to calculate units for Kc, I want to say if you find this video useful, please think about giving it a like. You could subscribe to the channel. You could even ring the bell to keep notified of our latest content. I do try and put out videos on a weekly basis, getting pretty good at that routine now. And your support is hugely appreciated. You could even share this content with other friends studying chemistry, and the wider we can spread the learning to a bigger and bigger community, the better. So thank you again for your support. It's hugely appreciated. And let's crack on to talk about these units. So when it comes to issuing a unit to our Kc value, the issue can be that they are quite variable. It depends what the Kc expression is doing as to the unit it will generate. And I find it's always best to work this through from first principles, chuck those units into the expression and see what comes out. So what we're going to do basically is replace the symbols for the substances in this case expression with the unit for concentration, which is the mole per litre unit. So we've got moles per litre squared divided by moles per litre times mole per litre. What I've done is expanded the brackets to show you that the squared is actually moles per litre times moles per litre. So we've got moles per litre times moles per litre for the product divided by moles per litre times moles per litre for the reactant going on in this expression. Now that effectively cancels out perfectly. I can cancel out what's above and below this division line because I've got equal numbers of moles per litre on both sides. So this particular expression would cancel itself out perfectly. That's what my lines are doing here, leaving me with no unit needed for this particular case expression. Now that's the case for this one example. It will not be the case for the other reactions we looked at today, and I'll show you how those ones work. So let's have a look at this one now. So if I were to replace the symbols in the expression with their unit moles per litre and expand the brackets, we'd find this would be our situation. We'd have moles per litre squared times moles per litre, in other words, moles per litre times moles per litre times moles per litre, divided by moles per litre squared, or in other words, expand the bracket, moles per litre times moles per litre. Now you can see that we can cancel out 2 of the moles per litre on top because we have 2 below. That still leaves us with 1 moles per litre not being cancelled down in this particular expression once we bring in the units. So that means we've got moles per litre minus 3 divided by nothing. In other words, the unit would be just moles per litre being left. So the units for this case expression would be moles per litre because they don't completely cancel down. 1's left above, and that is our unit. So this third example is a little bit more tricky and does require the use of some indices laws to fully understand what's going on. So I'm going to introduce the law first, then go through this example. So the law we're going to utilize is shown here, where x stands for a value, a number. So x to the minus n is equivalent to 1 divided by x to the power of n. The key fact here is that the minus n is equivalent to 1 over the same value raised to the power of n. We do have to change and reverse the sign for this transformation. So effectively, we use a real example. Say I had 3 to the minus 2. That would be equivalent to 1 divided by 3 to the power of 2. They are the same number, the same value generated by these two different indices approaches. And so we need to use this law to present our unit in the right form when we do this with mole per dm cubed values. So as we've done before, we're going to substitute in units for where the symbols for concentrations are currently placed in this case expression. So we've got moles per litre divided by moles per litre times moles per litre, which I've presented here. So the moles per litre above and below cancel each other out perfectly, as my lines are doing here, leaving me with 1 mole per dm minus 3 unit below the division line. So effectively we have 1 over moles per litre. So we have this unit here. Now, looking at what we did here with this indice rule, we can convert this into the other reciprocal form, and it will be the same unit effectively, but presented in a different form, which is what the examiners will need you to do. So we've got 1 over mole to the power of 1 dm minus 3 in effect. So we're going to simply flip the sign for the mole and dm unit to produce that reciprocal value. So that would be mole to the minus 1 dm3 is the inverse of 1 over mole dm minus 3. And that is what we're going to present in this question for our unit. Mole minus 1 dm3. And it could be written either way around. dm3 mole minus 1 is exactly the same as mole minus 1 dm3. We're going to do this one more time so we can see how this works again. This final unit determination is the hardest because it throws everything they've got at you. But let's start from first principles and the basics. We're going to substitute in the units for the symbols to work out what comes out. So we're going to have moles per litre squared divided by moles per litre times moles per litre cubed. Expand the brackets, that's moles per litre times moles per litre divided by moles per litre times moles per litre times moles per litre times moles per litre. So we cancel out what we can above and below the brackets by the division line. So 2 moles per litre above and below are cancelled, leaving us with 1 over moles per litre times moles per litre, as shown here. Now, in a second, of course, we're going to use the previous indices law to convert it from this format into the reciprocal form with the reversing of the signs. But before we can do that, we're going to have to also multiply these indices together. That's a different indices law, and that's shown here. When you multiply powers or indices, they actually add together. So for example, if I had 2 squared times 2 squared, that would be effectively the same as saying 2 to the power of 4, and the answer is the same. 2 squared times 2 squared is 16, and 2 to the power of 4 is 16. So this law of indices works. So we have to do the same for our units here. So below that 1, we've got mole to the 1 dm minus 3 being multiplied by mole to the 1 dm minus 3. So we've got mole to the power of 1 times mole to the power of 1. So that's 1 plus 1 equals 2. So effectively we've got mole to the power of 2. And we've got dm minus 3 being multiplied by dm minus 3. So effectively that's minus 3 plus minus 3, or dm minus 6. So our actual unit is 1 divided by mole to the 2 dm minus 6. And the reciprocal form of that, flipping the sign for the mole and the dm unit, would be mole to the minus 2 dm6. And that is our final unit recorded. And of course you can write it the other way around. That's perfectly legitimate to write dm6 mole minus 2. They are identical units. So that is a summary of how to determine case expressions and their units, fully explained with a little bit of math thrown in for good measure. Phew, that last example was pretty full on. Thank you as always for listening to the end. I really hope this has helped you to understand how to solve KC expressions and their units. And do check out the next video, which will be on how to calculate KC values using something called the ICE model. And it's going to be a little bit of a musical theme to that video, so it should be good fun. Take care. Bye now.